currently in London. As you might be aware, Mixta Africa is currently in London, and we have a series of events scheduled for next week to give you an opportunity to actually connect with us and learn about some of the exciting opportunities we have for you. So please, if you're in London, please try and stop by to at least one of the events. I would love to meet with you. What I'll be doing during the course of this session is that I'll post, just in case you haven't registered to join any of the events, I'll just post one of the I'll post the RSVP link so you can get the opportunity to sign up to whichever one of the events you can attend. Without taking too much of your time, please see the agenda for today will be presented. So what we'll be doing is starting with the company presentation, which will be done by Rolake, the Chief Commercial Officer. Next, we'll have a short remark by the Head of Sales. Then we'll be going into a Q&A session where you'll be given the chance to ask whatever pressing questions you might ask. This, just so that you note, this will be done there. If you look on the box, you see a Q&A tab. So we're just going to be taking all the questions through that channel. So please, if you have any questions, please make sure you do it via the Q&A icon channel. And then finally, we'll just have closing remarks by the CEO. So I'll be handing over to Rolake to commence this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tade. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Tade has already introduced myself, so I will go straight into giving a short overview of Mixta. Some of you may be familiar with us already, and just telling you about our new plans for bringing our services and products to the UK and other diaspora markets. So many of you already know us as Mixta. We're one of the leading real estate developers on the continent. We have the unique perspective of being a Pan-African developer with projects in 8 countries and operating subsidiaries in 5 African countries. We're a subsidiary of the world-renowned ARM Group company, Nigeria's largest independent non-bank financial institution with over $3.5 billion in assets under management. In terms of our track record, we've delivered across the African continent more than 13,000 housing units. Cumulatively, the management team has over 20 years of accumulated experience in infrastructure and real estate development. And we have an extensive land bank across all our countries of over 15 million square meters. This just gives a picture of our geographical presence. We are very much keen on finding and expanding into new high growth markets across the African continent. In terms of our vision and our values, I think there are 4 core pillars around that. We thrive on strong relationships and networks, hence the reason we've decided to reach out to you virtually in these climes this evening. Excellence in product delivery is absolutely key for us. We are always seeking to improve and learn. And of course, in this age of digital transformation, innovative solutions. So we're just going to do a brief overview on how we see the Nigerian economy and the real estate market evolving. As you can appreciate, due to the constraints of time, this is quite a short presentation, but we can of course take questions during the Q&A segment at the end. So macroeconomic highlights. As we all know, Nigeria has just come through a recession, but that is not unique to the country. I think pretty much many African countries have been affected by the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. We saw GDP growth grew by 5.1% in real terms, 5.01% in real terms in the second quarter of 2021. So I think it's fair to say that we're kind of in the rebound. That marked 3 consecutive quarters of growth following negative growth rates in the previous similar quarters in 2020. And foreign investment in Nigeria has fallen by 54% in Q2 compared to the previous quarter, as has the total value of capital importation. But I think one of the things that's quite key to note is that the green recovery economic recovery strategies, post-COVID recovery strategies by the government is expected to boost and underpin some macroeconomic resilience going forward into the next year. In terms of some key headline macroeconomic stats, inflation has dropped over the last couple of months to 17.3%. Nigeria, unfortunately, still has one of the highest unemployment rates in the world at 33.3%. But I will mention that one of the things that we are very passionate about is the contribution of the construction and housing development value chain to job creation at across the economy. Interesting to note that diaspora remittances actually rose by 5% quarter on quarter. I'm sure some of you were among those stats, to 4.3 billion in the first quarter of this year. The IMF has actually revised its growth forecast for the Nigerian economy this year. So some positive news on the horizon to 2.5% against an earlier projection of 1.5%. I think one of the main drivers of this, because we're still really much a single commodity dependent economy, has been recovery in crude oil prices and production. And we've seen Brent crude globally reach an all-time high this year of around $78 a barrel. So that is good news for Nigeria. But perhaps what is the other side of the coin is that the Naira has continued to suffer from instability in terms of its value. As you know, foreign reserves are a key part of shoring up the Naira and central bank policy. I think a main driver of some of the recent unsettlements in the market was the halting of sale of FX to the Bureau de Change operators in Nigeria. With regards to rates, the CBN has maintained the MPR at 11.5% pretty much since September 2020, and we do not see a significant departure from that particular policy stance. The real estate sector's contribution to the economy has shown significant improvement, and I think this reflects a rebound in consumer, buyer, and rental sentiment. In 3 quarters, we've seen positive growth recorded consecutively in the real estate segment since it entered recession in Q3 of 2020. The sector growth quarter on quarter was minus 1.85, but we expect the contribution to nominal GDP to remain resilient at 5%, just above 5%. And despite some of the uncertainties in the broader economy, overall market activities in various residential sub-asset classes remain quite strong, particularly in the tier 1 and tier 2 cities of Nigeria, places like Abuja, Port Harcourt. There was still resilient demand for real estate, although we have seen some fluctuations in rental yields across board. Another important point to note is that the construction sector has grown by 3.7%, and I think that clearly reflects a pickup, a ramp up in construction activity post the COVID. But one thing that we do know that all developers have had to face up to is the rising and cost of building and building materials. Notably, the cost of cement and iron have gone up by 60%, and you see this through steel reinforcements. But I think those developers that choose to stay ahead of the market have inbuilt business resilience strategies that help them manage some of these cost inflation points. More broadly, in terms of some policy developments, Lagos has brought down the cost and waiting times for construction permits. We see this as a positive development. This has also helped to strengthen the contract dispute resolution system. There's some other developments in the policy environment, such as a native law in Akwa Ibom excluding women from inheriting property in the state. We see this as a very significant development. We've also seen residential landlords have increased their rents for tenancies, especially in the first quarter of this year. Land prices, as I had alluded to in the previous slide, has remained resilient in key cities. Although we expect to see even more spikes over the next few years, I think there's been generally a trend towards gated communities, which is one of the project types that Mixta specializes in. And that's a reflection of both the infrastructure delivery as well as security. We're also seeing some interesting developments at a national level. Infraco, a public-private partnership on infrastructure, has been set up to address significant infrastructure deficit, and the partnership is backed by well over 150 trillion naira in funding. The federal government also plans to construct additional housing units across the various local government areas, and we expect that that will have some increase in demand on land. But again, as you know, with business activity, we believe the main business hubs will be largely impacted. So this brings us to the meat of today, looking at the investment opportunities that we have for our clientele and our target market. We'd like to play a very, very short video to showcase Mixta. Mixta Africa is one of Africa's leading real estate and infrastructure developers. We're in the business of building communities and transforming African cities through our real estate and affordable housing projects.
What is it that is the bedrock, really, of communities? It's the infrastructure. It's the civil infrastructure. It's the roads. It's the power. It's the sewage. It's the waste. And it's also the water.
If you think about our slogan of building communities, it is really about creating a lifestyle that people can relate to. And how we do that is we develop cities that have the full spectrum of infrastructure, amenities that allow you to live, work, and play in the city that you live in.
Lagos Newtown is a new community that we're building along the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway. Upon completion, it's meant to have a population of over 200,000 people. It's a development which we started about 10 years ago. In that period, we've made a lot of investments. We've built new communities, but it's still work in progress. So if you ask the question, why do we believe Lagos needs a new town, so to speak? I think not many people realize the extent of the challenge that we have in the city of Lagos. If you look at the last 60 years or so, the population of the city has grown by over 2,000%. By comparison, you could look at the city of London with a population of about 8 million people in 1960. And you'll be shocked to note that today, the city of London still has a population under 10 million people. Compare that to Lagos in 1960, less than 1 million people. And today we have 20 million people living in the city. And it's clear that the government hasn't been able to spend enough money to provide the infrastructure for that population growth. And I think for us, we've taken all of this on board. We think that new communities are required. At the center of that is the need to provide infrastructure to make such communities function the way existing places, communities do not. And for Mixta, that's really the motivation to create that new environment that people find attractive, that's able to provide accommodation and business activities for the various income groups that we have in the country. So we see this as an exciting opportunity for us.
Mixta Africa has created several communities within the Lagos Newtown development. There's our signature affordable housing project, Beachwood Park, which is a community of more than 500 bungalows and affordable homes, which we sold out on and we're very proud of. We just recently launched phase 2 of that project. And of course, if you were standing on Lagos Newtown and facing the Lekki Expressway, to the top right is our Diva community. This is a community of over 200 homes surrounded by greenery, parks, open spaces, convenient for families, convenient for professionals. It is also linked together with other communities such as our Lakowe Lakes Golf and Country Estate via a road network that is second to none and strategically located between the Lagos Island as well as the Ekpe and Lekki Free Trade Zone axis. We have our Newtown commercial plots, which we're looking to develop into an industrial hub in the future. So we have large plots available for commercial and industrial use, mostly light industries. They're going to involve fully serviced infrastructure with electricity and utilities, and a concrete road network, which we're investing a huge amount of money in developing over the next few years. The development of large communities is not new to Mixta, as we have done this across several countries, including Tunisia, Senegal, Mauritania, Algeria, and Morocco. A favorite of ours is the Résidence Essafia in Morocco. Essafia is a high-density, low-rise urban development in the heart of Matil, which sits on over 130,000 square meters of land. It is an affordable residential community comprising of more than 4,000 homes, commercial and recreational areas, and is home to over 17,000 residents. We're bringing a similar model to the Lagos Newtown development.
This is really what it's about. It's infrastructure. It's our ability to be able to give people standard and reliable infrastructure that they can use to access the communities that we develop for them.
We've made investment in infrastructure. We've made investment in content. We've made investment in amenities there at that place. We have invested in the golf course, as you know, and we've built homes for a variety of income groups in that place. We continue to make that investment because they like parcel of land. What we want to achieve is that we'll give housing to about 200,000 people. And so it's a large investment, and we plan to be there for the long haul.
I believe it was William Shakespeare that said, "What is a city but its people?" And at Mixta Africa, we're putting our people and our consumers at the heart of the projects that we deliver. So we have something for everyone. Your young working families, your professionals, your entrepreneurs, your retirees, your high net worth individuals, your aspirational graduate who wants to get on the housing ladder. And what is a community without an area and a green environment to live, work, and play? So Lagos Newtown has something for everyone, and it is a perfect choice for the smart investor and the smart consumer. So there you go. Thank you very much for that. I think one of the things that we really wanted to emphasize was the fact that we are, I think our CEO always says that at Mixta Africa, we're not just a real estate company, we're a developer, an urban developer, and we're not just developing estates in isolation, but we're taking into account the full environmental conditions of our cities across Africa. And I think this comparison between Lagos and London is really stark. The reality is population growth is going to be a significant driver of the economy, as well as the burden on infrastructure. And towns and cities like Lagos require forward-thinking and progressive developers to help change the narrative and offer projects that meet the needs of the 21st century buyer or investor. So now to bring it to the diaspora community, Mixta Vest, home is where the return is. I think beyond cliche slogans, this is something we truly believe in. So Mixta Vest for Mixta Africa is our answer to Nigerians, at least in the first phase, but also Africans more broadly in the diaspora who are interested in investing in real estate, sustainable communities, and infrastructure development on the home continent. And what we've essentially done with Mixta Vest is to create a dedicated platform for engaging and serving the diaspora community to ensure that we offer a seamless customer experience. I'm sure you've all heard tales, or you know somebody who knows someone, if not yourself, who's been involved in some property transaction in Nigeria that has gone wrong, or in Africa as a whole. And I think we're looking and seeking to change the game insofar as investing from the diaspora home is concerned. It's our brand identity for the diaspora community. And the Mixta Vest platform, which will launch formally in a very short time, will consist of multiple channels to facilitate our engagement with you, our prospective and current clients. So we're going to be hosting international events, exclusive showcase sessions. We'll have technology tools to make it easy to understand your transaction and what it means in dollar, sterling, naira terms. We are creating an exclusive and dedicated Diaspora email platform as well, and a team, as well as offering live and virtual tours of our products to really make the customer and buying experience and journey very easy. And it's really about bringing to you the option to invest in both our existing projects via our standard payment plan or via the partnerships we're rolling out with financial institutions, both here and overseas, as well as for future projects. And I thought it was really important to talk about 4 key elements around investing in property at home. I think for most people who choose to invest back home, there is an emotional, sentimental aspect to it, notwithstanding the viability, the investment proposition. The idea of connecting to home is something that drives millions of Africans in the diaspora all over the world. Everybody seeks the connection to home. And I think at Mixta, beyond the delivery of the physical infrastructure, your experience of engaging with us is part of how we seek to help you connect to home. Then there's the issue of value retention and appreciation. And this is a question we get asked all the time. We would be happy to discuss a bit more during the Q&A. And people often cite the fact of, what are the potential returns and how do we preserve value from investing in an environment like Nigeria or other African countries? And the simple answer to that for us, from our perspective, is that we're creating communities beyond just having gated communities that are fully serviced with a full spectrum of infrastructure that make our assets and our project an attractive proposition and a long-term sustainable store of wealth. And I think that is a really important point to mention. And of course, rental income. It's fair to say that we've seen some variety in rental incomes across different real estate asset classes and residential, commercial, and hospitality assets across countries like Nigeria. But I think rental income is key. Mixta Africa will help our buyers think of ways to facilitate transactions, including putting their homes on the market for rent. And we've done this with our signature affordable housing product, Beachwood Park, for our clients. And of course, thinking of the retirement option, there are lots of people in the diaspora who are looking to return home after many years of working and living overseas to be with family. And I think the variety in our projects and our products offer you the option to key into those products that give you access to a natural environment in the twilight of your years. There are just some things we want you to consider when thinking about investing in Africa or back home. It goes without saying, research and understanding your projects and the developers. That is absolutely key. And the sources of financing are key. As we know, the local mortgage market hasn't evolved as strongly as we have seen in other parts of the world, but we are working very closely with mortgage banks and commercial banks, both here and overseas, and other development finance institutions to diversify the potential sources of finance for our buyers. In addition, Mixta Africa is offering flexible payment options and innovative payment solutions to help you acquire property. And just the need to speak with experts and those who understand the law of the land and the legal and regulatory landscape. Closely linked to that is the understanding and education of our buyers around property law in places like Nigeria. And I think for the smart investor, it's really about taking a futuristic position. In as much as Mixta will help provide you with all the information you need to make an informed decision, I think it's really about seeing the potential of the asset. There's a famous saying that the best time to invest was yesterday. The next best time is now. But we also think that being futuristic is key to actually appreciating the value and the investment opportunities that exist in African and Nigerian real estate. For our buyer journey for Mixta Best, we have made it as seamless and simple as possible, from selecting your preferred property to receiving and accepting an offer letter to making payment. And we facilitated ease of transactions, even on international platforms. Then to receiving your relevant documentation, we will be keeping our consumers in close communication throughout the entire buying journey by providing construction updates, and of course, at final delivery of the property, receiving your keys upon full payment. There are just two things we also want you to bear in mind, is that our documentation process is as seamless and simple as possible. Key documentation required for transacting with Mixta, your contract of sales, and your deed of assignment or deed of sublease. I'm not going to spend too much time on this right now, but I think it's important for us to have this clear, because a lot of the times with the Nigerian market, and title documentation has always been cited as a key barrier to investors making that decision to invest back home. Mixta Africa has made the process as seamless as possible. This final part of the presentation is just going to take you through just a selection, not the entirety, of some of the investment opportunities we have in our portfolio. What you see before you here is the Lagos Newtown Master Plan. You heard our CEO talk about this earlier on the screen. And what really this is changing the narrative around urban development in a mega city like Lagos, delivering the full gamut of infrastructure. We have fully delivered the Adiva Plainsfield estate. We have also constructed and are building homes in our sold out Beachwood Park estate. And of course, our iconic Lakowe Lakes Golf and Country Estate, West Africa's best kept secret. So these are just some of the offerings we have in terms of infrastructure delivery: fully serviced communities, access to recreational facilities, a natural environment, which is really key to the sustainability of our communities, attractive investment yields, 24-hour utilities and electricity. And of course, for Lakowe Lakes, should you choose to invest in property or land on the Golf Estate, access to a unique world-class 18-hole championship golf course, water sports, spa and wellness center, and a fully equipped gym in our soon-coming sports and recreational center. And of course, on-site dining and other entertainment options. So I'm just going to talk a few about some of the new products we have coming up. First is Lakowe Heights, the first of its kind on Lakowe Lakes Golf and Country Estate. This is a 10-floor luxury residential apartment block, which seeks to take in the full gamut of the picturesque and panoramic setting that is Lakowe Lakes. So we have studio apartments, 1-bed, 2-bed, and 3-bed apartments. I think one of the really unique points of Lakowe Heights is that it has a unique vantage viewpoint. So wherever you are within Lakowe Heights, you get to soak in the sights on the fairway, the lake views, or the garden views of our rich estate. Then we have Farah Park 2, which is an exclusive, beautiful new community. We delivered Farah Park 1, again, another iconic development of Mixta Africa. Farah Park 2 has the unique position of being situated between the LNT axis and the Lagos Island axis. It is also a secure gated community. The Cove is a small, elegant luxury development on Lakowe Lakes. It sits on 3 hectares of manicured land. Think of it as a community within a community, and it features a diverse range of homes for every single taste that there is out there. We also have a flexible payment plan on the Cove. And of course, which has been referenced many times, our signature affordable housing community, our one-stop community, Beachwood Park Estate. I'm not going to bore you too much with all the details of this. You can find more information by joining some of the events we have, visiting the Mixta Vest website, details of which will be sent to all participants on this webinar soon enough, shortly after this. I'm just going to show you some beautiful scenery and pictures of some of the fantastic infrastructure we've delivered. This is one aerial view of Lakowe Lakes, showing the island and the hospitality section. I think it's worth bearing in mind here that an investment in homes on Lakowe Lakes means that you potentially have access to a hospitality rental community. So you can actually put your home on the hospitality rental pool within Lakowe Lakes. And of course, these are some of the fantastic legacy buildings that we have delivered in Lackaway Lakes, where we have over 200 units delivered and almost 100 residents who live on the estate to date, with quite a thriving, robust staycation community. These are just some other aerial views of Lackaway Lakes. Here is the unique village featuring 2 home types. Again, some close-up shots of homes on the village, the palm and the baobab, some interiors, some more aerial views of the cottages, the hospitality section of Lackaway Lakes. And just finally, we also wanted to introduce a new executive sales club. One of the reasons that we thought we would find ways to build our community and give our network a sense of community is to reward those who refer Mixta to other buyers or our agents. And the Mixta Executive Sales Club really just offers our network the opportunity to earn additional streams of income. It's ideally for individuals who are driven with a strong track record. You don't need any prior real estate experience. And it's really a way of rewarding and recognizing the efforts our communities have made over the years to refer us to their network and other clients. So again, if you'd like to hear more about this, we'd ask that you please get in touch, join one of our events, and engage with us. And at this point, I'd like to end the presentation and hand back over to our anchor, Tade Adeni. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Rolake, for the presentation. So now I'll be handing over to the head of sales to give some remark. So over to you, Andrea.
Hi, thank you, Tade. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to listen to our presentation today. Like Tade said, my name is Andrea Cameron Cole. I'm the head of sales and business development for Mixta Africa. Rightly said by Rolake, we've been in existence for over 2 decades now, and we have successfully delivered over 13,500 units, both residential and commercial. And as a real estate company, really, we pride ourselves with, how do I put it? We pride ourselves more on our ability to deliver on solid infrastructure and encourage, and the ability to encourage the build of wonderful communities. And in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria, we're known for our development and the ability to deliver affordable housing units and high-end luxury units as well. Rolake has already touched up on so many things, but for investors outside of Nigeria who are really interested in investing with us in Nigeria, Mixta Africa is a one-stop real estate company to reach out to. We have a track record. We deliver as at when due. We have a good title document that we share with all of our investors. And, I can confidently say that you can trust us development with your investment, and then you can sleep in peace knowing that you have a company who is handling your investment for you in Nigeria. So once you're ready to join, once you're ready to be our partners, we're available to respond to you. We're available to show you what we have, whether it is within the affordable housing range or the luxury housing range. There are email addresses that you can reach out on, you can, get in touch with us through. And you can also check our website where you have a lot of information about us. You're just a click away from a sales agent who will be responding to all of your questions. So thank you very much once again for your time today.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Andrea. So now we'll be moving over to the Q&A session. As I said during the start of the presentation, that all questions should be directed via the Q&A channel, which you can find at the bottom of this tab that is opened. So we're already having questions here, so let's keep them coming. So as I read out the question, like I mentioned, I have some of my colleagues here, members of the management team, who will be answering the questions that you have. Okay, so the first question that's coming, Okay. Okay, so the first question that's coming says, how long does it take to deliver a home unit after full payment has been made?
Okay, I guess, are you directing the questions to specific individuals, or I guess I can take this one, and I have other colleagues on the line. I see Mr. Ugo, I see Mrs. Hughes as well. Sam, you may want to upgrade Mrs. Hughes to panelist. How long does it take? Maximum 18 months is usually our typical delivery time. But obviously, one of the things that we do is try to keep our buyers in constant communication on the progress and construction of their units. Obviously, as you know, most developers and construction companies do building contingencies into their project delivery and execution. So where there are anticipated delays, mostly these would be due to things like procurement, maybe issues around importation, or perhaps renegotiation prices in an environment where we see significant cost escalation. But usually it's 18 months, and in some cases it's actually significantly less than 18 months. Again, it really depends on the specific project configuration. I don't know if any one of our other colleagues would like to add to that. Tadi, I guess we can move on.
Okay, so I'll just be moving on to the next question. So the next question states, regarding construction updates, I have not received any yet for the Cove Lofts. How can I get an update? Then still on that question, overall, the Mixta buying process is extremely smooth in terms of paperwork being incredibly comprehensive and straightforward. Thanks. So Rolake, will you take that as well?
Okay, thank you for that question, Miriam. We really appreciate that. The construction updates, one of the new things that we've introduced with the establishment of a new customer experience unit within the business is a monthly project newsletter. So your non-receipt of construction updates may either be due to the fact that you're not on that newsletter, or for whatever reason, somewhere between transitioning from an old CRM system to a new CRM system, your name may have been missed off on that. But I will ask perhaps Andrea to take note of this particular, your query, and ensure that you're validated on our mailing lists, very importantly. The Cove development has been progressing. We have several units that have been built, others that are currently in the works, including the dredging of the new lake in the center of that development. We've also handed over a significant number of homes on the Cove unit. We also appreciate the remarks here on the buying process for Mixta, which is smooth in terms of paperwork. This is something that we strive to continue to achieve. So thank you very much, and we'll definitely do better with regards to communication or construction updates.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question, Lanre, I already keyed into the 2-bedroom beach. I already keyed in to the 2-bedroom Beechwood Park. What is Mixta doing along the corridors to get rid of the shanties springing up?
Okay, I'm going to actually, the response is going to be via teamwork on this one. It's going to be response via teamwork, but I'll offer a perspective. I guess maybe the way we appreciate you becoming a customer, Mr. Akorede. I wouldn't say we want to get rid of the shanties. I think as a company, we're really big on CSR. And we know that given the urban conglomerations you have in a mega city like Nigeria, you have high-end communities next to slums. That is just a fallout of the lack of proper urban developmental planning at a broader level, at a state, local, national level. However, one of the things that we're constantly always doing is engaging public sector stakeholders on these issues. I think it's not just a case of security mitigation, but it's also a case of ensuring that we continue to have a social license to operate. And one of the ways we do this is ensuring that we have community liaison officers across our projects, whether that's Lagos or Port Harcourt, also ensuring that we get involved in health education projects in those communities. And like I said, we are part of an economic value chain of helping to put a dent in the unemployment figures within Nigeria. And so I would also like us to see our contribution more from the spillover impact of actually driving activity in the real estate industry that ultimately contributes to national development. But security we take very, very seriously. We have gated communities, we have a strong security apparatus, which we have recently strengthened. But I think over and beyond that is really our ability to embark on community reach outs and ensure that we continue to maintain a social license to operate. So I can assure you that by the time construction progresses on Beechwood Park, the entire perimeter of that estate will be fenced. As you know, we're delivering it in phases. So those would be my responses for now. I don't know if anybody else has, from my team, from the Mixta team, has any submissions to make.
Okay, thanks, Rolake, for the explanation. This is Ugo. I would just like to add one thing to what Rolake just said. Just for greater clarification, within our land bank, we do not have shanties or such developments within our land bank. What Rolake was speaking to was much more of the bigger systemic issue around the need for urban rejuvenation, and it's not, the concerns are not with regards to inside our land bank. So for Beechwood Park, these are gated communities within our land bank, and they do not have those issues of shanties being around them, just for clarification.
Thank you very much for that, Ugo.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll be moving to the next question I have here from Ayo Ajayi. From experience, the delivery date hasn't been honored by Mixta. What are you doing to improve this?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ajayi. We appreciate the feedback. We recognize that this is a problem, and I think the first thing to say is that we will do better. I will also say that there's two elements to this, those factors that are well within our control, where we know that we can definitely improve on with regards to delivery. And I think giving the past experience on some projects, going forward, Mixta has definitely, certainly we've seen it more visibly over the last 2 years, made a tremendous commitment to delivering on time. And where there are challenges in delivering on time, to communicate to our clients. And I think two things very well demonstrate is, first of all, the decision to establish for the very first time a customer experience unit that will be responsible communicating construction updates to our clients. And then secondly, we've also instituted, created more efficient project management procedures and processes and operational procedures to ensure that the entire value chain of development and construction, from procurement of materials to mobilization of contractors, the entire process is more efficient. So all of these things we believe will help us achieve. And then finally, better engagement with some of our customers, not all, to ensure that payments are also made up to date. But we do appreciate that there's some customers who have been up to date with their payments and who have faced some delays in delivery of the units. The final thing I will say is that the type of work Mixta has done in Nigeria is pretty groundbreaking. To be a Pan-African developer at scale of this reach, with a land bank in excess of 15 million square meters, requires a great deal of resilience and sustainability. And I think whilst we're proud of the work we've done, we realize that operating in our Nigerian environment can sometimes be painful, but we continue to surmount those difficulties as we go. And we can definitely assure you, Mr. Ajayi, as you remained a very valued customer of ours, that we will definitely do better going forward.
Thank you very much for that, Rolake. So the next question, this is from Taiwo. I didn't join on time, but how do we get the payment plans for any property I show an interest in?
Thank you very much, Taiwo Shotunde. First of all, I would encourage you to please send an email to sales_diaspora@mixta.com. When we market our properties, we also provide payment plans, standard payment plans, and outright purchase and standard payment plans. And then depending on the product, there may be mortgage or consumer finance options. So those payment plans would usually be in your offer letter and ultimately in your sales contract. So there's full transparency around those payment plans, and those are usually clearly communicated. Once you're onboarded as a client, if you have any doubt around the structure of the transaction, we first ask that your RM, relationship manager, is your first port of call. But specifically with regards to you perhaps being in the diaspora and wanting to key in and find out more information on this, please send an email to sales_diaspora@mixtaafrica.com. And I think my colleagues will put that in the chat box.
Yes, thank you for that, Rolake. Up to the next question. Please, what's happening in towns? Looks inactive for some time now. Please, are you doing something to spring this estate up?
Okay, I'm going to defer to my colleagues on the call with regards to this particular question. Perhaps maybe Mrs. Hughes, DA, or Ugo would like to take this particular question.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Nice to be on this webinar with us all tonight, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Shade Hughes. I'll take this question. Townsville is a development that we have at the easternmost side of our land bank. It's a development that is actually intended for individuals and groups of people who have bought to build their own homes there. We have a couple of homes that we had escalated. I think there was a few developments in there, but really, it's I think the fairest thing to say is that the onus really is on our customers, our esteemed customers, to sort of make the move and go in there. I think you'll discover that in areas, in pockets of land surrounding Townsville, if you drive down towards Townsville, you will see that there's quite a lot of development around that area. Townsville, we had ensured that we built a fence around it, just so that it has some element of sort of like a gated kind of thing. But there's a lot of development going on down there by individuals, by other groups of people. And I think, what can I say, but just to encourage, those of our customers who are on this call and who know other people who are, who own properties there, just to please, come in there. Over the years, we have, done clearing of the sites, just in anticipation of individuals coming to begin development. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you for that, Mrs. Hughes.
Hi. Just want to make one further comment to what Mrs. Hughes said. Exactly as she said, part of the strategy we have in the area is third-party sales we've done to other people that are building estates around there. But it's also instructive to speak about what exactly happened in Townsville. What has happened in Townsville is actually a way to look at it is the trust and confidence people have in the title to land and Mixta gives. Most people have bought into that Townsville one and just went to bed being happy that they are always going to be sure of the sanctity of the legal title and the possession of their houses. It's a good thing, but it's also leading to the challenges that we have in that area with respect to development. But we are hopeful that as other estates in the area which we are partnering with spring up, that people will be encouraged to come and start their development.
Thank you very much for that, Ugo. So we'll be moving to the next question. Please, will you be selling land in Adiva to individuals anytime soon?
Maybe I'll take this, Rolake. Hello again. So this is Shade Hughes again. We are actually selling land in Adiva at the moment. We have some individual plots for sale, and we also have, some bulk land. If that hasn't already been sold out, I believe the sale position for the bulk for the current release has actually been sold out. But the good news is that yes, indeed, there are individual plots of land in Adiva. And if you would just, like to reach out to our sales team in any way you can, either by the email channel or by telephone number if you have, or by any of our social media channels. And I'm sure you will get a response and a direction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mrs. Hughes. We'll be moving to the next question. Is there a possibility to increase payment plans beyond 18 months?
Okay, so I think okay, go ahead, Mrs. Hughes, please.
Okay, Rolake, I will answer. I will try to answer this question. So again, it depends on the projects. We have, Nigeria is undergoing a very volatile phase in its economy. Construction materials, the cost of construction materials is undergoing a very, very volatile phase. We would like all our customers as well to understand that as our slogan denotes, we don't just build individual homes, we build communities, and that also has an element of infrastructure. So in order to deliver on our promise, and in order also to work within the constraints, shall I say, of the economy, it is important that not only is it important that we try to reduce the life cycle of project delivery, but that we also try to enjoin our customers to adhere to the payment plans, because it is by adhering to the payment plans that we also, on our part, can fulfill our own obligations. I would like to mention that, well, perhaps technically it could extend a bit longer than 18 months, up to 24 months. But this very, very much depends on, the adherence and timing of customers. And of course, as we know, when we're building communities, it's not just a single, a unit or a single block that we're doing. The adherence of our customers in general, it's important because, when there's some, if one or two or several customers lag behind in the payment plan, then it has a very negative knock-on effect on our ability to deliver, both the infrastructure and the units. So I think in a nutshell, we do not favor increasing payment plans beyond 18 months, but at the same time, we do enjoin our customers to adhere to these plans.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mrs. Hughes. So I'll be taking Marianne's question. Lakaway Lakes is over 200 hectares of land. What percentage of the land do you intend to develop, and what percentage of the natural environment will you preserve? Bearing in mind the fact that the natural environment there is a mangrove with thousands of trees, and Nigeria has the worst deforestation in the whole of Africa, which have dire consequences. Thank you. So I'll be handing that to Rolake to answer, please.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Tade. I'll just make one comment or two comments and possibly hand over to DA, as I see we're also coming to the top of the hour. I think part of what we've tried to do at Lakaway Lakes is the unique value proposition, of course, is a golf course, but very closely to that and ranked highly as well is the natural environment. So there is a certain portion of unbuilt land that we'll have to maintain with regards to preservation of the natural environment and the ecological integrity of the estate. We're also very big on sustainability, and we're looking at how we can change the fingerprint and DNA of the estate and evolve it into a fully green and ecologically friendly estate. And there are several projects we're looking at that will help us become a sustainability promoter with regards to that development. We do recognize it's a major challenge. We're very careful in our land banking strategy. Projects are approved not just at the management level, but at investment committee level, so that several eyes are able to look at the viability. And we take ESG very seriously, environmental and sustainability, social and governance issues. So your concern is very well noted. I think part of our ability to have a commercially viable business is the preservation of a certain amount of natural and green environment to enhance the value of the homes that we actually provide on the estate. But as we know, climate change is a global problem. We can't address all those issues on the call now, but certainly we abide by environmental rules.
Okay, DA, please. Hi, DA.
Sorry, may I just say that, so for the questions, the team will capture the questions we're unable to fully answer here. We see some questions. And so we can send, if you send an email to sales_diaspora@mixedafrica.com, we can also answer some of those questions more directly, and some will be answered live now. Thank you. DA, over to you, please. Closing
Okay, I didn't realize I was being prompted. Good evening, everyone, and it's a pleasure to have you here, taking the time to listen to us. I think Rolake has already said a lot. In concluding, I just would like to touch on one or two things. It's surprising anyway that we haven't had any questions relating to what is often the most topical aspect of real estate investing in Africa. And it's not just Nigeria. We see this in all countries where we operate. And this essentially has to do with the ravages of inflation and devaluation of the currency. And I think the concern that most people have is that it's pointless investing in real estate back home, just because if you look at what has happened to the Naira in 2021 alone, it can be quite discouraging. And so, you know, the other day I was having a conversation with my father, who is an accountant and a very diligent one for that matter. He keeps all records. And in the process, I saw a marketing material which had to do with his first property purchase in Nigeria in 1967 or so. So about almost 60 years ago. And, you know, so I decided to do some research, and I just want to share some things with you today. For some of you may be familiar with a part of Lagos called Adeno-Ogunsanya, which is in Surulere. And this is this is an extract from a marketing material that was handed over to the buyers in the 60s. The picture you have here is that of my father's first home in Lagos, which he paid £3,750 for. If you're very young, you won't quite realize that the currency in Nigeria in the 60s up until the early 70s was pound sterling, similar to what you have in the UK today. So he paid £3,750 for this property on Adeno-Ogunsanya. So it got me thinking, let me even consider how well properties have done in Nigeria. So I'll just move on to the next slide. No, go on. Go on, please. All right. Okay, so, and you can visit this property site on the internet or any other one, and just type house prices in Adeno-Ogunsanya, Surulere. So if you scroll down, down, please, down, yeah, here. So this is the same house, one of it's similar to the one I showed you earlier on. And you can see that the market value is about 130 million naira today. Generally, for that house type, you'll see that it ranges anywhere between 130 million and 170 million. So if you kind of convert that into pounds today, at the unfavorable parallel market rate of 790 to £1, that translates to about 166,000 pounds. Bear in mind that Nigeria in that period has gone through civil war, economic instability, insecurity. You just name it, we've had our own fair share of bad fortune, so, all right. So from 3,750 pounds in 1967 to about 167,000 pounds in 2021. Now, let's put it into context by going to the next slide. Do you want to scroll to, do you want to move to the next slide? So you can see there, what I did was to type London property prices graph 60 years to 2021. And if you look at the top right-hand corner there, if you look at 1967, roughly that starting point is the equivalent of about 50,000 pounds. Of course, we know this is average. There are property values that have done better. Some have done worse. But the key point here is that if you track 1967 all the way to present day, or goes only as far as 2014. This roughly translates to about, if you look at that graph, is almost about 190,000 pounds, which is a growth of about 3,700%. So really, in real terms, you find that Nigerian properties haven't done as badly. In my career, I've traded almost all asset classes, from fixed income to bonds to commodities and what have you. Real estate remains one of the most resilient asset classes that you can really consider. It's always there. It has its own cycles, but it's never as bad as we think, in spite of a devaluation of the currency that we've gone through over the years. Remember that also in that period, the Naira has depreciated by almost 99.9%. And in spite of that, what this is suggesting is that real estate has held its value in that period. So it must be a very secure asset to hold, as long as you take a long-term view of it. But, that aside, I think Rolake has mentioned that our approach to real estate is to focus on building new communities, because that's exactly what is lacking in most parts of Africa, and especially in Lagos. And what our experience has shown is that because of the investment we've made in infrastructure, most of our real estate developments have done very well in spite of the difficulties that Nigeria has faced in that period. Now, for you in the diaspora, your concern would always be about, well, choosing the right investment, but importantly, ensuring that you're partnering with the right institution. Now, it's easy for us to say to you here that we're reliable, we're dependable and whatnot. So I think your own independent due diligence is all you need. And we think it's an exciting opportunity for the real estate market, for the reason being that we have bad news, a lot of bad news in Nigeria right now. The advantage that provides is that the real estate values have not really adjusted to the devaluation of the currency that we've gone through in the last 1 year at least. Now, it will inevitably catch up. And that window is what really presents the real opportunity. Now, the counterintuitive way to look at it is to say, well, there's a lot of negativity right now, and therefore this is not the right time to buy real estate. But my experience shows that you go into a shop to buy what you need when you see the big sign for sale. But what most people do is buy stocks when it's rising and not when it's down. And I think that's the opportunity that we think that this current environment offers discerning investors who want to make that investment decision at this point in time. But I just would like to thank everyone for your time, for listening. It's a shame that we can't take all questions, but we have a full team in London for the next 2 weeks or so. I hope you'll be able to take time as well to attend some of our events. It promises to be an exciting time. Thank you very much. Okay, over to you, Rolake.
Thank you very much. Well, you heard from the CEO there. Thank you very much for joining us. I think we just wanted to quickly just show you the slide of activities that we have coming up over the next few days. So please take time to pop by. We are happy to have one-on-one meetings Monday to Wednesday next week. Thursday, we have the Signature Art Gallery event with Cecil. Friday and Saturday, we're at the Property Investor Show at Excel Centre in London. We have an exclusive dinner on Saturday evening and on Tuesday evening for our alumni network, as well as those interested in the Executive Sales Club. And then Sunday is the grand finale at Altitude in London. We have the Reimagining Nigeria Business Forum from 2 to 4 p.m. and our African Cultural Showcase from 4 to 6 p.m. Again, please send an email to sales@diaspora at mixtafrica.com. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure sharing our evening with you, and we look forward to engaging with you again very soon. Thank you.